guys enjoy?
From my perspective, and I've actually seen this happen, I think there's a difference between owning a business with your spouse or significant other versus like starting the business. And I think that's why Alan asked the question the way he did. So when you start a business, everybody trying to get it out the mud. Like that's what it is. Like you gonna fight, you gonna scrape, you gonna do whatever you gotta do to get it out the mud. But when you buy a business, you probably got some financial security to buy said business. You know, and I think the partners have to trust each other enough to be able to say, you know what, we're making the right decision by doing this. So I think you have some level of security, and it also takes away from like the amount of like arguing and bullshit that you're probably gonna go through. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
That's what they said on Forbes. They said that because it's structure. So like
when you buy a franchise,
when you starting from scratch, y'all creating a structure. And you might
and
say,
learning
and learning at the same time. So now
that makes sense.
You might have said something that you want to do that she probably don't agree with, but she went along with it at that time. But when stuff hit the fan, when the money not coming in, then she bring up some BS. But
you should have done that shit.
Or vice versa, 100%. So, but when it's a franchise, the franchisor gives you the structure.
Right. No, you're
and
absolutely
so then now all it is, y'all just play y'all role.
Right.
You might be hiring everybody X, Y, and Z. I might be. I'm in this department.
Right.
But you know what I mean.
As long as everybody stays in their role and stays in their position, then you can't see the McDonald's not succeeding. You can't see the Starbucks not succeeding. You can't see whatever else, you know what I'm saying? It's succeeding. So I definitely understand that. I think, you know how they say if you're from New York, you can survive anywhere. I feel like if you could start a business, then you definitely got the right tools.
No, that is
to go ahead and go do the friend. You might just put another checklist on my goals for 2021.
Wait, I'll say this. I think the one thing we should consider. So take it back 2 steps. Like, can you work with your spouse? That's truly the question.
Yeah.
Like when we take the question that Alan presented, like down to like its basic form. Like, can you work with your spouse? Yeah. And to be honest, my preference would be to not work with my spouse.
Right.
Like, I feel like now my job is at home, but like, before COVID and all that, work gave you an outlet. Work gives you like an outlet to like deal with other people, to go to different restaurants and different coffee shops, like to explore wherever it is you are in whatever city you live in. And then when you come home, you deal with home. You're not dealing with home at work. Cause like, I know for a fact, like if I'm working with my spouse and I know he needs to go to the dentist, I'm gonna be like, yo, like intercom call or whatever. Did you schedule a dentist appointment today?
You sound like me.
It's gonna be house stuff at the job.
Like,
hey, did you remember to put the commingled trash out before we left the house this morning?
And that's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Like, you have to know, like, literally, can you work with your spouse? And for me, it's probably a blessing that me and my spouse don't work together.
Right.
Because you have to know, like, can you separate the two? And I can't.
It's hard.
And
it's
for
really
me,
hard.
For my experience of I had my children's mother at the time. I had started a summer camp, actually a smoothie business and a summer camp with her. She didn't know nothing about business, so she was leaning in the beginning for me, the teacher about the business. So at the end of the day, she will come and say things that I know businessly it didn't make sense, and I know it's not going to work.
Like businessly?
But you are, right? On a business level, pardon me, right? On a business level, like it did not make sense. However, right? I'll be like, that's not going to work. She trying to tell me something. She never ran a business in her life. Right. Don't even know nothing.
Right.
But now she starts seeing the pressure of what I always work for myself. So she's seeing like me coming home and the stress that I'm coming at, just to flick your lights is a blessing, right? To have your lights turned on and, just that feeling is a blessing. Because if you come there and because you're trying to rob people to pay Paul to keep, if things not going that way, like the way you want it to, then it's like, well, and then she thought that we supposed to be getting paid in the beginning. Like, no, that's not how that works.
Or come after.
You know what I'm saying? And so
I mean, not really. You put some, this is a structure. You do start off with saying, this is what I'm paying myself. But as with your heart in it, you be like, I could sacrifice not getting paid right now.
That's the
use
that's
whatever
the right
I'm
idea.
getting paid, it still go back into the business.
Yeah,
So it's just like,
that's the right idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I mean, with me personally, the stuff I'm interested in is completely different from what certain men would be interested in or anything like that. I really like to keep my business and my relationships separate because some people don't know how to literally separate the emotions. I keep my friends and my business separate. There's times I tried to start businesses with my friends and they wasn't as serious as I take it. They like, yo, you sucking the fun out of it. Bitch, you trying to make money or what? Because making money is not always fun. And I realize not everybody's mindset is like me. Like when it comes to open a business, fuck all that fun shit. Like I'm really about to grind. Like it may be seeming miserable, but we trying to do this for a bigger purpose, right? We trying to get to the bag, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's not really good to mix get into the bag with your relationship because your work ethic might be different for somebody else's and it'll make you look at them in a different way that you wasn't looking at them before in a negative light. Like, you know what I mean? Just because your work ethic is different. So I personally like to separate. Now, owning a business, it depends. Like I'm into beauty, I'm into hair, I'm into makeup. If my man owns the space and he like opened a shop here, maybe it could work. You know what I mean? Like, it really depends on the situation where maybe it could work. But certain things, it's just like, you know, you got to know your lines. You know what I mean? You got to know, like, not your boundaries. Like, look, you like this, I like this, I'm like this, you like that, we're not going to cross it.
the question is, would I buy a business with my partner? Definitely. According to Forbes, right, one of the best things for couples or marriage, married couples or couples in general, right, is to buy a franchise, right? Because there's rules already there for both of y'all. It's not like you being a dictator. Y'all both following the rules that has been set for y'all. Y'all both agreeing on in the whole 9 yards. And not saying that, you won't have arguments and things in that criteria, but it's better. When you start from scratch, trying to start a business from scratch, it's a lot that go in there. You don't get paid as much. It takes a strain on the relationship, the whole 9 yards. But when y'all come together and go ahead and buy a franchise that already has a business or has clientele or have a name, you actually start off ahead of the game a little bit more than someone who's actually starting from scratch. Now, I think that the real talk, I think that the only problem, the caveat is, normally if you own a business, you go home, you're able to vent to your wife about your business partner or whoever, right? If your wife, the business partner, it's hard for you to go that steam to let out, unless you have like a certain type of relationship with her. It's not the same. If you bring in business into your home, and then she might get aggravated because she feel like you've been dictating at work and you dictating at home, the whole 9 yards. Like it could put definitely a strain on the relationship, but I think it's good.
Can I come in? Because I've been in several relationships and had business with most of the people I've been in relationships with. We started business. But yeah, if I could start a business with you, I would definitely buy a business with you. At the end of the day, I mean, listen, the structure may be different, but at the end of the day, when shit is not going right at work, it's hard to come home and say, we're not gonna talk about what needs to get done tomorrow morning at so-and-so place, or whatever the franchise is. It's hard to go to sleep and say, we're not gonna discuss what needs to be fixed, because it's you and I that are running this. Mm-hmm. So whether you're buying a business that's already existing or starting one, the problems are the same. You're coming home with the issues, and it's hard to separate the two. It really is. It takes for you guys to probably get through your first business that you guys have bought together to understand the do's and the don'ts. There's no handbook on how to do this, because it's hard to not be mad, and you're not mad at your spouse, or you may be mad at your spouse for making poor decisions when it comes to business, poor decisions to making choices. Like, that shit is real. And then you come to work, like for me, I'm coming and I'm doing the sweat equity. I'm there every day. You're just the investor. You understand what I'm saying? So You come home and you're explaining this to a person that really doesn't give a fuck about the business. They care about it because you care about it, but it's really not their passion. They just did it because it's something that their wife or their significant other wanted to invest into. And that'll cause a problem too. If you both are not going into it with the understanding of this is what we both want. Now, when y'all both go into it, this is what we both want, y'all gonna understand we're not gonna like each other every day. But I still love you. And we're getting in bed and we're gonna sleep and we're gonna fix it tomorrow.